I was looking at our Facebook this morning and noticed that Kevin Ward is watching. So, hello Kevin, right?
Hello.
And Kevin is down in Boise, training to be a Miami County Sheriff. So, I pray that things are going well for him. Open your Bibles to that Ecclesiastes chapter 7 passage. You'll notice the title of the message today, A Better Way to Live. A Better Way to Live. And how can we who live under the sun still find meaning and purpose in life? Solomon is going to provide to us some counsel for better living. Counsel for better living, and who doesn't want to live a little better, right? Everybody wants to live a little better. I think I do. The word better is found 8 times in this section of Scripture, verses 1 through 14. And it says 11, but it's 8 times, okay? 8 times. The heading in my Bible, the New King James, says, the value of practical wisdom. Bible scholars believe that it is the 7th chapter that becomes the pivot point for the book of Ecclesiastes. In other words, the first 6 chapters, we saw Solomon's search, and in his search, every time he comes up empty-handed, he comes up with vanity. Now, he's starting to get his eyes back on wisdom. Wisdom living. Wisdom is seeing life from God's perspective. Walking in God's Word. Okay, that's wisdom. So a better way to live is what I've entitled this. I want you to come along and to join me today. How many of you heard the statement, today is the first day of the rest of your life? How many of you heard that? Well, it can be for some here this morning. Today can be the first day of the rest of your life. Where do we start? We start here with a good name is better than precious ointment. There in verse 1, how good is your name? Better yet, a play on the word better. What do your neighbors say about your name? Huh? When your neighbors hear your name, what do your neighbors think about your name? That's a pretty good thought there. People who have a good name have a powerful influence on others. It's important to have a name that influences people around you. People who have a good name have a character worth emulating. If you have a good name, people want to say, I want to be like that person. Because you have a character about you that is worth emulating. And people with a good name have a reputation worth respecting. You respect somebody who has a good name. Solomon writes that a good name is better than precious ointment. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, precious ointment speaks about good smelling perfume or good smelling cologne. And the point is that you can smell good, but if you don't have a good name, what's the point? What's the point? You can outwardly give forth a good smell, but inwardly you may be rotten to the core. Inwardly. Someone put it this way, inner character is more important than outer fragrance. Okay? Inner character is more important than outer fragrance. So if you want a better life, start here with your name. A good name is better than precious ointment. You know, if you were to check my life out, what I call my BC days, before Christ, I probably did not have a very good name. Matter of fact, people in the neighborhood where I was growing up, they probably said, watch out for that man, or that boy at that time. But my AD, after my death, when I came to know Christ, my life changed. And I had a teacher that said to me, Buster, because that was my nickname. He said, Buster, even people who don't believe in Jesus have to believe that something took place in your life. God changes people's lives. A good name is better than precious ointment. Secondly, your death day is better than your birthday. Wow! Years ago, I heard a preacher say, tell me when, the time, and where, the place that I'm going to die, and I'll avoid them both. You know, we don't like to talk out loud about death. But the reality is that someday all of us are going to die, save the rapture of the church when God calls His bride home, so will the day of our death be better than the day of our birth. And no doubt, when you were born, people were excited about your birth. People showed up at the hospital if you were born in the hospital. People showed up at your home when you were brought home. There may have been even some tears of joy about your birth. People said things, wow, they look a lot like you. Or wow, they have your grandfather's eyes. Or wow, what a beautiful baby. But what about your death day? Will there be anyone present when you die? Will people be sad that you died? Will there be any tears? Will anybody be close to you enough to hold your hand while you pass from this life into the next life? When Solomon says the day of death better than one's birth, what he's talking about is birth is the beginning of sorrows. And isn't that a fact? Think about all the times as a child, your hurts and your boo-boos that your mother had to kiss away. The pain that you faced as a young person when you faced rejection from somebody that you liked. Death is the beginning of rest. It is the beginning of peace. It's the eternal bliss that we read about in Isaiah 57 and Revelation chapter 14. Not long ago, I was with somebody when they were dying. I was at the hospice house there on Hayden Avenue. And as this person was dying, his wife said to me, she said, I just want him to go home. Life has been very hard these past several years. I just want him to go home and find rest. You see, for a lot of people, death will be welcomed. It will be better than birth. And if you want to live a better life today, can I encourage you to prepare for eternity? Prepare for your death. Live today as if you're going to die tomorrow. Prepare for your death. Prepare for eternity. A good name. The day of death better than the day of one's birth. Thirdly, a funeral is better than a party. That sounds weird. Look at verses 2 through 4. Better to go in the house of mourning than to go in the house of feasting. For that in the end of all men, and the living will take it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by a sound countenance the heart is made better. For the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is when you face life issues that cause you to mourn, we grow the most as people. It's not when we are feasting that we think about the deeper issues of life. When you have this nice juicy steak, you're not contemplating all the issues and all the difficulties and all the challenges of life. No, you're thinking about making it through that steak to get the t-shirt. But it's when you're in the house of mourning. It's when you're in the house of difficulty, when you're out in the house of trouble. It's when you attend a funeral service that you begin to think about your own mortality. And notice what Solomon says here. He says the living will take it to heart. In other words, the living will learn through the process of mourning. It is when we go through hurt, pain, heartache, and loss that we learn the most in life. It's not when we're at an amusement park. It's when we're hurting. Psalm 30 verse 5 says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. We learn through the process of shedding tears. We have joy after the weeping because we learn and we grow in life. Look again at verse 3. Sorrow is better than laughter, and by a sad countenance the heart is made better. No one likes sorrow. I don't like it. We like to steer away from sorrow. Most of us like laughter. The problem is that we probably don't laugh enough when we need to be laughing. But what about sorrow? What about the times of mourning? What about the times when we have a sad countenance? It's when we go through the difficulties of life, when our face gets sad, that we learn the most. We grow the most. And it's okay to mourn. It's okay to grieve loss. It's okay to have some sorrows. Emotions are given to us by God. Listen, whether it's the death of someone close, the loss of a job, being disciplined by our parents, or something else that causes sorrow and a sad countenance, eventually our hearts will be better. Our hearts. I had a pastor friend who used to preach another pastor's sermon for his congregation every Sunday morning. He'd spend all week listening to a cassette tape of a pastor in California, and he would write out that pastor's sermon, and then he would preach it to his congregation. The congregation knew what he was doing. He put this pastor in California's notes in his sanctuary so that they could see that he was preaching. And they said to him, if we wanted that pastor, we would have called that pastor. We want you, Doug. We want you. We're giving you 6 months to come up with your own material. Do you know 6 months later, Doug was still preaching this other man's sermons. And the church leadership called him in and said, we're going to let you go. And when I talked with Doug said to me, in the process of that, I could have allowed it to cause me to become bitter, or I could have caused it to make me better. And he said, I have chosen in my life to make it better. It is in this, when you face difficulties and challenges and hurts and pains and sorrow in life, that you can either become bitter through it, or you can become better, a better way of life. You know, Doug is pastoring a good church today. He's preaching his own sermons. And he's having an impact on the lives of people. Look at verse 4. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Wise people learn through the process of pain and hurt. Not so with fools. Someone said true wisdom is developed in the crucible of life's trials. True wisdom. And allow me to put it away in which the children can even understand. Kind of borrowing from a cartoon a little bit here. The heart of the wise will mourn and rule, but the heart of the fool will laugh and drool. Get it? Want a better way? A better life today? Choose to learn through your suffering. Someone once said, God doesn't waste pain. And if that is true, then we need to be quick to learn through the things that we go through in life. Number 4. The rebuke of the wise is better than the song of fools. Look at verses 5 through 7. It says, it is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of the fools. For like the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of a fool. This is also vanity. Surely oppression destroys a wise man's reason, and a bribe debases the heart. Here's the definition for rebuke. To express sharp disapproval or criticism of someone because of their behavior or actions. Now, after hearing that definition, how many of us like rebuke? Not very many of us, I'm sure. Not many people like someone to come up and say, hey, your behavior is not right. Hey, your actions there are not becoming of a believer. We don't want the rebuke of other people, but it is better to hear, which means to take in, which means to lean near. You have something to tell me in my life that's going to help me? Tell me. I'm leaning in, brother. Tell me. What's going to help me? Better to hear the rebuke of the wise. Do we accept this as truth? If so, why do we fight so much in our lives? Why is it that we don't allow wise people, people that we respect, to speak into our lives? Why don't we give our husbands or our wives permission when they see something going on that we are doing, whether it's behavior or action, where we don't say, hey honey, if I do something, correct me? Why don't our children say to mom and dad, if you see me acting in a way that is not proper or right, rebuke me. I want the rebuke. Children need their parents to rebuke them when their actions and behavior are not becoming. Students need their teachers to rebuke them when their actions and behavior lack proper respect. Employees need their managers to rebuke them when their actions and behaviors don't match store policy. You know, I knew the owners that owned Splashdown in Spokane. They hired a young man, and they had a dress policy. And they went up to him and they said, hey, our policy manual says that you have to have this type of appearance. He looked at them and said, you don't pay me enough. Like, what? You don't pay me enough? See, people don't like... If somebody comes and says, that's not what you need to be wearing on the job. Well, who do you think you are telling me how I should be dressing? I'm the guy that pays your salary. That may not mean much to you. We should be thankful for people who care enough about us to come into our lives to correct us. And we should be on guard for those who want to encourage us to act and behave improperly. Fools don't care how they act. They don't care about their surroundings or how it affects other people. You'll have a fool who will come into your life who will say, come join us. Come, because misery loves company. People don't like to sin alone. They want to sin in a group. Look at verse 6. The preacher provides us a listen to the song of the fools. And he tells us, here's how the song of the fool sounds. For like the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of fools. This is vanity. The laughter of fools is compared to the crackling of thorns in a fire. It's all noise. One author I was reading put it this way. Burning thorns provide a quick flame, little heat, and lots of noise. Just like the sudden outburst of laughter among fools, there's more noise than there is substance. And in verse 7, there's a warning even to the wise. Surely oppression destroys a wise man's reason. A bribe debases the heart. Oppression can be the downward spiral of a lot of people. Oppression can cause people to make some very stupid decisions. And whether you are the one being oppressed or whether you are the oppressor. A wise person can become a fool rather quickly. Therefore, be on guard all the time. You want to live a better life? Then learn to receive rebuke from those that God places in your life. Gary, you're going to go in the military and you're going to have some guys that are going to look down on you and they're going to be pointing their finger at you. Be careful how you respond. Be careful. The end is better than the beginning. Look at verse 8. The end of a thing is better than the beginning. This is so true with so many things, like sermons. Right? The end of a sermon. Let's get that sermon done, Pastor. Let's land the plane. School recitals. Whew. Got through that one. Some movies. This is a boring movie. You have to watch it. You mean you got to watch it all the way to the credits? And engagement at times The end is better than the beginning. Better to break that engagement off. It's not going in the right direction. A job. Sometimes a job may be a dead end. A friendship. If you have a friendship, the end is better than the beginning because that friend really has not poured good things into your life. I'll give you some biblical examples. Joseph. His beginning was slavery in prison. His ending, though, was being second in command over all of Egypt. Pretty good. What about the prodigal son? His beginning looked good. He had all of his inheritance. But then he went and spent it all and ended up in a pig pen. But when he came to his senses, he returned to his father. And his father killed the fatted calf, put a ring on his finger, put a robe on his son, and received him back. The end was better than the beginning. What about the Apostle Peter? I mean, it looked good for Peter at the beginning. But then somewhere along the line, Peter denied Christ. And Peter went back to his occupation. He went back to fishing. And Jesus showed up on the beach in John chapter 21. Had fish fry breakfast with Peter. And he said to Peter, Peter, you've denied me 3 times, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep. His beginning may have looked good, but his end was better. His end was better. And what about our world? Do you know the conclusion in Revelation 21 and 22 is the creation of a new heavens and a new earth. The end is better than the beginning. If you go back to Genesis chapter 3, you have the fall of mankind. You have the sin problem in our world today. And what about where we are right now as people? Our beginning does not have to define us. Our beginning does not have to define us. We can, and hopefully we will be defined by our conclusion. By our end. May we end better than we started. Are you following that? May we end better than we started. May we end well as followers of Christ. We can have a better life today by making a decision that we're going to end well. And then patience is better than pride. Look at verses 8 and 9. It says, the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Why? Because pride pushes patience aside. Some people never learn patience, and the reason why is they think patience is below them. They don't think they have to be a patient. Maybe that's for somebody else, but not for me. Solomon tells us forthright that it is a patient in spirit individual that is better than the proud in spirit individual. And the person with pride believes that they are above waiting. Waiting is central to patience. Waiting is central to patience. And God provides many opportunities in the waiting room. I'll give you some examples. If you're married and you're a man, you have to be patient for your wife. How many of you know that? Sometimes you have to wait on your wives, right? That's sometimes difficult, sometimes hard. And then at times you have to wait at a supermarket. Look at these lines. Look at all the registers they have that are not open. What's wrong with this place? But you have to wait. God is developing patience in your life. What about at red lights or train crossings? I don't know how many times I go down Highway 95 and it seems like I hit every red light going through Coeur d'Alene. It's like, why is it that it's green, but when I get there it's red? Why is it when I turn off a Scarcello and I get on Atlas that the train thing comes down? Because God is teaching me, your pastor, a little patience. What about the time we wait at the doctor's office? You know, if I'm told to be there at 9:30 a.m., I expect to be seen at 9:30 a.m. So I arrive a little early, like 10 minutes early. But I want to be in the doctor's office at 9:30. Why is it that sometimes I wait 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes in the little room that they put you in? Patience. At times we wait for packages to be delivered. We order something and we want that package. You know, we have Amazon 2-day delivery. It should be there in 2 days. Why is it that I get these messages? Sorry, your package has been delayed. What? Patience. At times we have to wait for medical tests. We're pretty anxious, aren't we? By the way, lest we miss it, this verse is talking about the spiritual realm of our lives. Spiritually. Patient in spirit is better than proud in spirit. And Solomon shares one major area in our lives where we can learn some patience. Look at verse 9. Do not be hasty in your spirit to be angry. For anger rests in the bosom of fools. Anger, hot temper, a result of a lack of patience. We get angry for wide varieties of people. People are late and we have to wait. We get angry at them. People are driving crazy and putting our lives at risk. We get angry at them. Someone tells something that we shared in confidence. We get angry with them. We see closed checkout stands. We get angry. Someone cuts in front of us at a concert. We're going, hey, I haven't waited in line here, buddy. We get angry. Patience leads to the development of a godly life. Write down James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4 in your notes. Number 7. The present is better than the past. Do not say, where were the former days better than these? You do not inquire wisely concerning this. We shouldn't be sitting around saying, oh, you remember the days when, you remember way back when things were so much better. No, the problem is we have a very short memory. We think those days were better. We should be thinking about the present. We need to seize this moment, this time, right now that we have before us. The inquiry mind looks back. But the spiritual mind lives in the here and the now. It is in the here and the now that God shows up. You live in the past, you don't have a present, you don't have a future. You live in the present and you look for the future. Number 8, wisdom is better than wealth. Look at verses 11 and 12. Wisdom is good with an inheritance and profitable to those who see the sun. If you get an inheritance and you get a large sum of money, you need to handle that in wisdom. You need to see yourself as a steward. You need to see that it's only temporary. Someone handed it to you, and you will eventually hand it to someone else. Notice the words, and is profitable to those who see the sun. The person who realizes that we live under the sun also realizes that this is not our home. Everything is temporary. We are strangers. We are pilgrims. We are only passing through. Everybody who understands this understands that money is nothing more than a tool. Just a tool. And look at verse 12. For wisdom is a defense as money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to those who have it. And the word defense can be translated shade or shelter. Wisdom is a shade or a shelter. Money is a shade or a shelter. However, between the two of them, it is greater to be walking in wisdom than to have money and be walking as a fool. And finally, resignation is better than indignation. Look at verse 13. Consider the work of God, for who can make straight what he has made crooked? And the Hebrew word for consider means to examine for the purpose of evaluating. Consider the works of God. You know, none of us have the ability to change what God sets in motion. But we need to consider, we need to stop fighting God, and we need to start working with God. Where is God at work in our lives? And then join Him. And finally, verse 14. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. There's that word again. Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other, so that man can find out nothing that will come after him. Do you believe that your time and my time is appointed by God? The day of prosperity as well as the day of adversity? And none of us know when either prosperity or adversity will come. None of us. So in the day of prosperity, be joyful. And the day of adversity, consider. Consider, what is God trying to do in my life? Dr. Warren Wiersbe says, wisdom gives us the perspective so that we are not discouraged in times of difficulty or arrogant when times are going well. Wisdom. And one man said, blessings make us happy, burdens keep us humble. In the midst of our adversity, our eyes are on Christ. Sometimes in the midst of our prosperity, we are so prone to wonder. God, keep us from that. I want to close with these statements. Go to the next statement, Crystal, if you would. 9 practical ways for a better life. Make sure that you maintain a good name, because that's really all you have. Secondly, live for your death day. Prepare for eternity. Number 3, learn from the times of mourning and sorrow. Number 4, accept the rebuke of the wise. Let other people into your life that care about you. Number 5, make your end better than your beginning. End well. Choose to end well. Number 6, practice being patient. Be humble. Number 7, focus in on the present. Don't live in the past. Number 8, walk in wisdom. It gives life. When you start to see life from God's point of view. And number 9, accept God's work in your life. Don't fight Him, but join Him. Let's pray together. Father in heaven,